European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, perhaps the most prominent advocate of that dreaded COVID passport, was out there advocating that we all have to have digital IDs because the future will be digital. You shouldn't have privacy, apparently. Yeah, that's what she believes. She claims that the IDs can be a real booster to emerging economies. The trick is to build public digital infrastructure, she said, that is interoperable, open to all, and trusted. Joining me now to explain just how dangerous this is, Nigel Farage, former Brexit Party leader. Nigel, this is about global government control and a way to, what, redistribute the wealth away from the so-called wealthy nations to everybody else?
Well, it's about control, isn't it? I mean, this is the most glaring example we've ever seen from a prominent world leader. Von der Leyen is the president of the European Commission, 450 million people living within that union. Oh, and by the way, she's unelected, she's appointed, and here she is brazenly saying we need a digital ID card or app on our phones. Now, bear in mind, France and Germany are trialing this already. The European Union, she wants this to be enforced by the early 2030s and, may I add, backed up by a central bank digital currency, living in a cashless society. And now she wants the whole thing to go global. Can you imagine? On this ID card will be not just your date of birth, your gender, your eye color, your height, your approximate weight. There will be your vaccine status, your financial status, and goodness knows what else will be on that card. Can you imagine this data falling into the hands of bad actors? And if you think about it, I speak as somebody who's recently been debanked as a result of his political opinions. And this is happening in America too, as you well know, to lots of people. If we're not careful, we head towards a Chinese-style social credit system where unless you go along with the views of the day, you become a non-person. I cannot think of a more dangerous initiative than this. The problem we've got is we have to ask a question whether our leaders actually believe in our nation, because they're prepared to surrender sovereignty to the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the EU, and goodness knows what comes after that. And the truth of it is, the world will be a better, more prosperous, peaceful place if democratic nation states cooperate and trade together, not give away their powers to unelected bureaucrats. And that was the Brexit message all those years ago. I now think what our little island did becomes a stronger message for the world, and in particular, after what von der Leyen said. We simply have to say, no, we believe in liberty, we believe in freedom, we believe in the nation state.
They're ramping things up in a very aggressive manner, and people are now realizing it's almost like we're sleeping and they're building a cage around us as we're sleeping. What are the signs that you're seeing that they're ramping up this, and how far do you think they are away from achieving that goal of that totalitarian police, surveillance state or surveillance police state?
They're realizing they're running out of time because more people are waking up. What they don't get, though, is people are waking up because they're ramping it up, right? It's getting so ridiculous. So they're kind of running out of time. They have a feeling, rightly so, the window is kind of closing because the critical voices are becoming more and they're becoming louder. So that's why they're ramping things up. And you see that. So, there is so many issues going on right now. They're erecting these 15-minute ghettos. That's what I call them. And they're starting with that pretty much in Great Britain. Then in Ireland, too, it's kind of starting there. In Netherlands, of course, you have they bash down the farmers. Once again, we're being told it's just, to make a better life for us, to make the world a better place. But what it actually means is you won't have food. If the farmers don't produce food anymore, you won't have anything to eat. It's as simple as that. And tying into that, I wonder why Bill Gates all of a sudden, buys farmland, like crazy. Why would you do that? Well, if you have control over the food, you have total control of the people. So we're seeing all of these issues going on. Digital identity, next thing. Digital identity, it's not so your life is easier. It's so government has total control over you. Look to China, with that social credit system. That's our future. And I'm not talking the future 30, 40, 50 years from now. It's happening now. It is happening now. Digital currency. Oh, isn't that's the creme de la creme of all control mechanisms. I mean, what do you think is going to happen if the next time you refuse to take an mRNA shot? With a flip of a switch, they just cancel your account. You cannot buy food anymore. You cannot do anything anymore. That's pretty much where I think it's going. It's to erect a totalitarian surveillance state.
Shalom. First off, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Ruach HaKodesh. I'm going to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yaltaz Akbar with the GMS Nebraska camp. This is GMS Endeavor. And in this lesson, what I want to get into is these first couple videos that I played at the beginning. Going into I got these videos from this article from the People's Voice titled Globalists Are Desperate to Erect Totalitarian Surveillance State Before Too Many People Wake Up. And here, 1 second, I just want to make sure. Okay, Khan, I just want to make sure my mic was on. But there's a lot to go into within this topic, and a lot of the points were already brought out, within those first couple videos. A lot of great points, but Lord willing, this lesson can be thorough yet concise. I want to talk about the total control that Esau wants to set up, within this beast system, and how when we look at the article, it says what globalists are desperate to erect totalitarian surveillance state. Now, when we see globalist, what that's really talking about is the elites that rule this world today. Which first and foremost, we're talking about the elites of Esau, Edom, who is the so-called white man. We're talking about the elite banking families, the people that we don't see in the news, the people whose faces that we don't see. They are who rule this world today. This is whose kingdom that we're in. Now, you have lesser elites that are, aside them of the different nations that will reap the benefits of this beast system that we're going into as well. But at the head of this kingdom, the people who are ruling this world today at the top are Esau. And it says that they're desperate to erect a totalitarian surveillance state before too many people wake up. And first I want to grab this precept, Revelation 12:12, which says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." And Esau is moving with urgency. The scriptures basically telling us that there's going to be a time where Esau is going to speed up with his plans. Why? Because the truth is out here. A majority of the points that was being brought out in them videos, the prophets have been bringing them out for a long while, and it has it's running its course to where now we see this being talked about on Fox News. You have different leaders around the world who are bringing up and bringing out the same points that us prophets bring out. They use the same language. They go into the same things, and that's this word running its course. But Esau is being revealed. His plans are being revealed, and now he has to go through and set it up, because people see what he's doing. We can see his cards, so he's speeding up with this totalitarian state that he wants to create. And let's get that word totalitarian, get the meaning of that word, which when we get into the word totalitarian, it says totalitarianism is a political system where the state holds absolute control over all aspects of public and private life. suppressing individual freedoms and political opposition. It's characterized by a single-party dictatorship, the suppression of dissent, and pervasive state control over society. Now, I want to get this part right here. It says the state exerts control over the economy, education, media, culture, and even personal lives, aiming to mold citizens into compliant subjects. And so what we're reading here, as well as the point that was brought out in the second video, well, really both the videos, but it brings to mind the second video where the guy said, what did he say? He said, let me see, Salakia. In either the first or second video, he basically said, if we're not careful, we're heading towards a Chinese-style social credit system where unless you go along with the views of the day, you become a non-person. And what's being explained and talked about here is exactly what we read in Revelation chapter 13 of this system that is getting ready to be created. Let's go to that. Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, and we can start at verse 14. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Now, I want to make the point that this system that's being set up, this is going to be a global system. Like the point was made, we already see a social credit system being ran in China, but this is something that is going to come to America, and not only America, but the UK. This is going to be a thing in all over in Asia, all over in Europe, all over in Africa. This is something that is supposed to be a global thing, because as we read down in this chapter, when it talks about the mark of the beast, this Esau wants all to receive the mark of the beast, but let's read on. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And what are those miracles? Well, I just brought up the MOTB, which is the RFID chip, and we see that technology being rolled out slowly but surely, as we speak, where we see different companies implanting chips in people's brains. They call them brain computer interfaces, where people are able to operate technology just with their thoughts. People who are paralyzed are able to operate as a normal person, because of this brain chip. People are able to open doors with chips in their hand. Those are a part of those miracles, as well as this AI. Let's read on. It says, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now, this image isn't talking about an actual picture. You have people that break this down, that image is speaking of an image of white Jesus. No, that's not what that's talking about. The image of the beast is Esau's philosophies. It goes back to the Greco-Roman way of life, but it's essentially Esau's philosophy, democracy, LGBTQ, his science. It's Esau's way of life. It's the way that he thinks life should go, contrary to what, contrary to righteousness, contrary to what Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai says that life should be. And when we read on, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, this is important, because a lot of what was being talked about in those videos and what's being talked about in this article is what this verse is speaking about. It says that he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Now, what is that speaking about? Well, in that video, it was spoken about how Esau wants to roll out a digital ID. Esau wants to roll out CBDC and basically the social credit system, where everything that we need to live our lives is under Esau's system. There is no way to do anything under the table, because they want to do away with cash. They want to make a cashless society, and our currency is going to be what? The CBDC, which is digital money that's rolled out by the higher ups, that's rolled out by the government. And when you use that money, every single transaction is, is on their books. They see everything we're buying, they see everything we're doing, it's in their system. When you use cash, you can do things that's off of Esau's radar, and he wants to get rid of that completely because Esau wants total control. This is Esau's God complex in action. You read about that in a few precepts, but the first one that comes to mind is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, where it says, he sitteth in the seat of the Most High, saying that he is the Most High. And what else is him giving life unto the image of the beast? The digital IDs, where your all your information is on this digital ID, as well as your social security number, your passport, your license. All of this is going to be on your digital ID, but eventually this whole system is going to be on this MOTB. Now, within this system, like he said, this is going to be under a social credit score system, to where you have to move within Esau's, image of the beast, within Esau's way of life to fit into society. Like he said, if you don't get the latest vaccine that they roll out, then you're basically going to be a non-person. That's what we read about here, where it says, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. If you don't go along with what Esau wants you to do, if you don't go along with what he wants you to think, what he wants you to believe, the way that he wants you to walk, well, we have a CBDC. This is Esau's digital money that he can at any point turn off if you can use or not. This is Esau's digital ID system, where he can make it to where you can't use your passport. You can't use your digital ID to get a job or to do certain things. And the only way you'll be able to turn it back on, you got to get that vaccine. And that's just an example using the vax, but it could be anything. Because when we look at China's social credit system, let me take a sip of this water. When we look at China's social credit system, how does theirs work? They are surveilling everything that you do online, every website you visit, everything you look at, everything you comment on, as well as in real life, they have cameras everywhere where they're seeing where you go, how long you stay there. Basically they're surveilling your behavior, what type of things you buy, what type of hobbies you're into. And if it's agreeable with the Chinese government, then you are rewarded. Your social credit score goes up, which means that you're able to do more things within society. You're able to have more opportunities. Maybe it's easier for you to, go to college or something like that. You have more accessible to you that you can buy. But if you're doing things that's deemed negative within the Chinese government's eyes, well, you can't buy certain things. You don't get certain opportunities. Basically, they have the power where if you aren't moving the way that they want you to move, they can shut down life from you. You can't go certain places. And this is the system that Esau wants to set up globally, where it's underneath his image. It's underneath his way of life, to where if you don't want to go along with his ideas or do the things that he wants you to do, well, you can't go to school, you can't get a job, you can't access the CBDC. And we see that AI is taking over a lot of these jobs, which the reason why Esau is replacing a lot of humans with AI is because eventually what he wants to do is roll out a what's the term for it? The term is escaping me right now, but it's basically where for the unemployed, you would get a weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly sum of money that's automatically rolled out to you because you don't have a job, and it's going to be with this digital money, and he's going to make it to where for you to get that money weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however the system will work, then you have to be operating under Esau's system. Now, who is this coming against first and foremost? It's coming against us Israelites, who believe in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, who is trying to operate under the vibration of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Why? Because we are, we're not going to roll along with Esau's image. The scriptures say what? Let's grab that real fast. This is Romans chapter 11, verse 4. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. I know I'm a little all over the place, but like I said, it's a lot to get into. Romans chapter 11, verse 4 says, "But what said the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal." The elect of the nation of Israel are not going to bow the knee to this system that Esau is setting up. Why? Because this is wickedness. It's against Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Esau wants to make it to where you have to go to him and believe in his way. He doesn't want us believing in the Lord. He doesn't want us, leaning on Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. He wants us to go to Esau. Wants us to go to him for everything we need. And that's what this total control is all about. He wants to be our God. But the elect ain't going to bow the knee to this system. And so what does that mean? That means, well, let's go back to that precept in Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. Because it says that as many as were not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Now, when we get that word killed, that could mean, killed in the aspect of, you could be put to death for not following these different ways. But Esau doesn't even have to do that. Because when we get into it, it's Strong's G615, which the definition for killed is to kill in any way, whatever, to destroy, to allow to perish. But let's get into the root word, which is Strong's G575, and it's of separation. And what that means is that you're basically going to be separated from society. It's like the guy said, he's going to make you a non-person, to where you aren't going to be able to fit into society unless you are following along with what Esau wants you to do, unless you're worshiping the image of the beast. So that's why Esau is, trying to lock everything down. That's why, like they mentioned, Bill Gates is buying up farmland. Why? Because you won't be able to grow your own food. You won't be able to sustain yourself. Esau wants to make it to where you have to go to him for food. You have to abide under this system to eat. And so, yes, you have, these different people who are bringing up these points on how they know the system that Esau is getting ready to bring, or that they're, in their eyes, this system that they know the globalist is about to enact. They're bringing out these certain things. They're talking about, how wrong it is. But it's going to get to the point to where when life gets so hard to live without fitting into this system, that they're going to fold. They're going to buckle. But us who have our faith in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that's why the scriptures say, without faith it is impossible to please him. Because it's going to seem impossible to live life without buckling to Esau's system. But the scriptures say, let's get let me see, it's in Matthew. Let's get Matthew chapter 6 and verse 30. It says, "Wherefore if the Most High so clothe the grass of the field, which today is, and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye little of faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." The Lord is going to look out for us. The Lord knows this wicked society that Esau is setting up, but he's not going to leave us out here stuck. The Lord is going to make sure that his men eat. The Lord is going to make sure that we're protected in these times. And so let's go back to Revelation 13. And you're going to have a lot of people who, just fall into the system and just think this is the way to go, because leading up to these 15-minute cities, leading up to, this CBDC, this new way of life that Esau wants to push upon the globe, he is going to make it as if this is the way to live, as if this is the right thing to do, because you have a lot more people who are going to fall for this system than people who aren't. And that falls in line with, those lying wonders. I often bring out the precept in Sirach where it says, trust not thine enemy. Let's grab that real fast. Salakia. I believe it's Sirach chapter 10. Or maybe it's chapter 12, Salakia. Yep, Sirach chapter 12, verse 10, which says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And, it was brought up in those videos at the beginning. Esau is going to make it as if they're bringing this system because this is going to be an easier way to live. This is a more secure way to live. This is going to make life easier. He's going to bring the miracles with the MOTB that's going to make it as if, why wouldn't you want to get it? But that's those lying wonders. And Esau is the physical counterpart of Satan. And the scriptures say even Satan has, made himself to appear as an angel of light, roughly paraphrasing. So Satan himself can make it seem like he's coming to help, as if he's coming to be at, people's aid. But the whole time, Esau has nefarious plans, and nefarious schemes that are at the helm of all of this. But he's making it seem like this is going to be for the people's good, when in reality, he just wants total control. Society is going to be like how it was in 1984. You're going to be completely locked down and under total surveillance. You're not going to be able to do anything outside of what Esau wants you to do. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. And we let's finish this verse. I says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So people are gonna, realize that, they thought Esau was coming to help them, and the whole time it was so that he could have them in his hand. Let's go back to Revelation 13. Because, we can finish it up here. In verse 16, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And this is ultimately what Esau wants to do. This mark that is speaking about, let's get that real fast. Greek for that word mark, which is Strong's G5480, which is a charagma. It says a stamp, an imprinted mark. And it says of the mark stamped on the forehead of the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist, which there isn't just one Antichrist. The scripture says that there are many Antichrists. An Antichrist is just anyone that is against Yahweh Shai. What should properly go here is it's a mark stamped on the forehead of the right hand of the followers of Esau, really, of his system. Of course, this mark that it's speaking about here is going to be that RFID chip. Because that digital ID, that that system of the social credit score, the CBDCs, that whole system is going to be within that chip eventually. And it says the mark branded upon horses, and that's why we ain't supposed to get this, because when you brand a horse, ultimately what you're doing when you brand that horse is that you're showing that this horse is my property. This is who this horse belongs to, and that's essentially what Esau is doing when he mark somebody with a chip. Because, for example, if a person was to get chipped and now boom, Esau has this surveillance underneath your skin. Esau has control of you underneath your skin. He doesn't have to watch you on cameras no more. He is within you. And now, like they was mentioning in that video, if you get the chip and now you don't want to go along with different things that Esau is pushing, Esau can just turn you off. Because he got a chip in your brain. He has a chip in your hand. He's within you at that point. He has total control over you. And that's why we're not supposed to get this, because we not followers of Esau. We're not his property. We're property of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So we have to continue to deny this system, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what we have to deny in this world. Let's read on in verse 17. Well, Salakia, let's touch on 16 a little bit more, because it says he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So Esau wants this chip to be in all parts of society, globally. This is for those who are in prison or those who are just living about in society. This is those who are higher up in society or those who are lower. You know, Esau wants to mark everybody with this, and he will get majority of the earth. You know, we read about that in Job chapter 20. It speaks about how, you know, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, because the Lord is going to allow Esau to get to a point of, you know, chipping billions, you know, but the elect ain't going to get it. You know, it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You know, and, you know, I'll make the Slack. Let me read that again. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You know, and, you know, it's not just buying or selling. You know, now that's going to be a main point of it, you know, because that, you know, the digital currency, the ability to buy and sell things is going to be within that chip. You know, you won't be able to just go to the store and use cash. We see it happening right now. There's certain stores that won't take your cash. There's certain stores where if you have a bill that's too high, they ain't going to take it. They're, you know, getting rid of pennies. Eventually, they're going to get rid of all the coins. They're going to get rid of cash as a whole. And you're going to have to just use your card. Eventually, it's going to go deeper than just a card. We don't use cards no more. We use biometric payment, or we use payment by the chip. You know, and I say it's more than buying or selling because, like I said, this is going to be a thing to where if you don't get this technology, then you're going to be separated from society. You won't be able to do nothing. You ain't going to be able to go to school. You won't be able to go to the hospital if you need to, or whatever it may be. You know, so this is the system that Esau wants to set up. This is going to be, Esau is going to put it out here like this is to help people. Like this is, you know, the way to live. And we have to keep in mind the deception that Esau uses, because right now, you know, by this video, it would seem obvious that you're not supposed to get this, but a lot of people are going to be fooled because Esau is going to make it seem like, you know, this is the answer to life. Like this is, you know, like this is the way. Billions of people on the earth are going to be fooled by thinking that this is salvation, you know? But the whole time, what is Esau trying to do? He wants to control everybody and act as the Most High. You know, so, hey, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch HaKodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Shalom.